Okay, you guys, let's do this. It's going to be so professional. Like, so professional. Here we go. Well, welcome to the Live Support Podcast with your hosts, Michele and June Colson, a couple of clean comedians who support each other and others through comedy's wacky and winding roads. I hope you're ready. Get set. Let's go. Since podcasts have a catchy tune, we wrote this song for Michele and June. Clean comedians are best friends too. Oh, it's so good. And you never know what they'll say or do. Here we go, sing with me on Live Support, with Michele, who's really short. We'll have a ball, with June, who's really tall. They have fun, interviewing comedians on Live Support, with Michele, who's really short. Now they have their catchy tune. If Michele jumps high, she's eye to eye with June. Let's be clear, June's tall and Michelle's real short. And now it's time to start Live Support.
The Live Support Podcast is brought to you by the Hot Breath Comedy Network.
Welcome to the award-winning Live Support Podcast. I'm your host, June Colson, here with Michele with the 1L, Trisha's sister, Rhonda Colson, Corey's friend. Do not call me Shelly, Michele Van Dusen. Hola, Michele. How we doing?
Hey, I think that gets longer and longer and longer every season. So
just like our theme song. Our theme song gets longer. Your introduction gets longer.
Well, to be fair, on the first episode, I did make it really, really short. So
did you? Like,
I did.
Yeah, that's true. No, you didn't make it short. You just made it chipmunk fast. Like, yeah.
Yeah, because I cut off like 20 seconds of it. Like I shortened it. I sped it up and all the things. All of the things.
You look great today. Look at you. You're bright. You're shiny. Lots of yellow.
Yeah. I only had the shirt on, because it's a big smile face, but that flushed me out. So then I thought, well, let me put on a white hat.
Yes. No, you look adorable.
And it kind of blended it a little bit better, kind of pulled off some of that. So I don't look
as all day. You have to be happy and you have to have a smile because so for our listeners, Michele has a bright yellow shirt on with a big smile on it. And she has a hat on that has a smiley face on it. And there's all kinds of yellow in the background. But it makes me think about like my when my church gave me like a sweatshirt for the first time. And I'd really just got back into church and they gave me a sweatshirt. And I remember being at the grocery and the cashier was like acting like such a jerk. And I started to match that energy. And then I realized like I had a shirt on with a big cross that was like such and such Baptist church. We love you, And I'm like, oh man, I have to wear this. I should wear that sweatshirt every day. It would keep me in check. So if you have a happy face shirt on, do you have to be happy all day?
Well, this goes back to you're never fully dressed without a smile. So I just don't want to walk around nude. That's what I'm saying. So
yeah, we don't want that happening twice,
No.
The last time, Michele.
Twice. No, this is actually a nod to one of our guests, the guests we're having today. So it's a little hint. It's a little hint as to who we might be having.
Yes. Well, I think it's going to be a pretty awesome show today. And I love that's what you do. I mean, I just have my natural smile that I'm wearing today. Well, is it natural if half my teeth aren't mine? You know what I mean? Like
did you pay for them? Then they're yours.
I did pay for them. So I do have ownership of them, but they're not yours. They're not the ones God gave me. They didn't grow from my head. I knocked most of those out. That's sad.
Or did somebody else knock those out? I don't know.
That's true. And well, no, I think a little bit of both. Some were me, and then some the dentist had to take, and some were the tooth fairy. Okay, you know what? We have such an amazing guest. My teeth is really not should be the subject that we talk about.
The tooth fairy. I'm sorry.
Let's get our teeth into some quality content, right? Let's
I like how you
get into something awesome.
Okay, all right.
You got the smiley face t-shirt on. Michele, introduce our guest. Tell us who's on the show today.
No, okay. So our guest
Again, you're wearing a smiley face shirt. You have to be smiling, happy, and nice. So get it
You
together,
can grin
baby.
and bear it. Oh no. Anyway, so our guest today is a comedian, a teacher, a Jesus-loving speaker, and a recovering Dr. Pepper addict. What? So she co-hosts the Hook Line Smiley podcast with her husband Bob. She brings truth with a side of wit and hard-learned wisdom and laughs all along the way. So today, you're gonna get real talk, real faith, no filter. This is a clean comedy podcast. No filter. She's a living testament to God that will continually bring beauty from ashes. She's toured with the Epic Ladies Night. She's been on Leslie Rob's Teacher Talent Show. She's been on Teacher Comedy Nights. And let's welcome to the Laugh Support Podcast, Sarah Smiley. Woo, 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 woo.
Hey guys.
She's here. Well, hello, Sarah. What about
Hello.
Michelle and her outfit? She dressed up so much for you today.
I am so impressed. I mean, I'm also jealous. I want to be twins with that outfit. So
You too can have this look from Amazon.com. Not a sponsor.
I have a few smiley things in my wardrobe because I'm a teacher. So kids really and parents pick up on that. So I have, nice collection of coffee mugs and things.
Nice.
All the smiley face. Yeah, that would have to be like that. And once people know, then they give you these things. So once you got married and you took on the last name Smiley, I have a feeling like when Jason and I got married, I think it was like ducks, or this really dates how old I am. There was like ducks that people were decorating their kitchen with, or sunflowers or something. And I was young, poor, and resourceful. So I was like, hey, listen, I don't want ducks or sunflowers that's going to end up in somebody's yard sale years from now. So I was like, what can I decorate with? If people are going to buy me a bunch of something, what could I get? And so I was like, ooh, Coca-Cola. We were at a flea market and I saw this really cool Coca-Cola picture. And so I was like, we'll do our kitchen in Coca-Cola because that's stuff I can sell later, right? And so I just got a Coca-Cola picture. And the next thing I know, that's like for like 8 years, that's all anybody got me. Just Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola. And then I'm such a sentimental person that when it got to the point where I'm like, okay, I can't deal with this Coke kitchen anymore.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, oh, my grandma bought me that. Oh, Sarah bought me that. Oh, Michelle sent me that. So now it's just in boxes in my attic. So it kind of backfired on me. But I imagine you get a lot of the smiley stuff. Yeah.
I love collecting things. I had, salt and pepper shakers, and those have been dissipated over the years. Erasers as a little girl. I was always a collector. And it was sentimental too. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to get rid of those things.
That's probably why
anything.
people like you are why in Gatlinburg, they have a salt and pepper shaker museum. Have you been to that?
Really? I have not.
Yeah. A whole museum.
I should-
Michelle, I mean, go ahead. What do you collect? What don't you collect?
I collect dust on a lot of things that I've collected. I have Legos everywhere. I have I used to collect all the M&M figurines and stuff like that. So that I still get those occasionally. But I do have a lot of Legos, the Lego minis. I have so many over there. And when my mom passed, I got her teapot collection, which that's fine, but I'm ready to, sell some of them or re-gift some of them, something. But my youngest started bringing those teapots to me as birthday gifts or Christmas gifts. And I'm like, oh, this wasn't my collection. This was okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yay. So I'm ready to get rid of all of them except the couple that he's given me. So
that's the thing.
Anyway,
You have to have a place to store all of that and dust it and make sure it doesn't get broken by your children and things.
Yeah.
Pets. Yeah.
No dusting happens here. I mean,
So
because
we try to have go ahead.
I was gonna say because we're shedding, and so the dust is mostly us. So it could be a guest. I'm not getting rid of them.
Oh,
I should have just interrupted you. Like, there was no reason to let you finish that statement. Why?
you should have cut her off.
I dust. I'm joking.
Oh, Rhonda Corey just turned this off. She listens every week. We always have a Rhonda Corey moment, a Rhonda Colson Corey moment. And I was going to go to the Rhonda Colson Corey moment, but now she won't hear it because after that dust comment, She's so
Exactly.
grossed out by everything. She's done. She's gone. But I was going to say, Sarah, this is the difference in our friendships. Okay. So Rhonda,
Mm-hmm.
little fashionista, my little diva friend, she has her winter wardrobe and her summer wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
And then my other best friend, Michele, I kid you not, Sarah, she has winter Legos
I
and
do.
summer Legos. She boxes up her Legos by season. The way Rhonda takes little boots out and
Mhm.
switches with sandals, Michele goes from winter Lego decor to her summer Lego. Have you ever?
That is fantastic. That is
My
fantastic.
flowers are out right now,
Yes.
right?
I was going to ask you if those were Lego flowers because I have wanted those Lego flower collections. I was a big Lego kid, like huge. I still have my containers of Legos from the 80s. Oh, that's so wonderful. I'm super jealous now. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Those are Legos.
They're
Okay, so we are
incredible.
a podcast. They can't see it, Michele, but Michele is just showing Sarah vases, vases full of Lego flowers that she's created. And they're actually they're super pretty. They really
They're
are.
really cool.
But
Really
now
cool.
these, there were plastic ones. Well, Legos are plastic, but they were like fake flowers of some sort. And then I shoved the Lego flowers in with them.
I
So
love it.
so
I
that's
love
not
it.
all.
I need one of those for my office. I think the boys wouldn't tolerate it here, but I think in my office at work they need some flowers that don't die.
Get some of the purple lily ones and then stick them in with that one back there. That'd be great.
I love it.
So
I
watch
love
this
it.
transition. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Lego into Sarah's story of laugh
Yes.
support and comedy. Look at that. We're going to
Oh, that was
Lego into
amazing.
that. How about that?
Top notch.
It's terrible. Michele usually gets to do the bad jokes. I got one in before you.
What do y'all call them? Mom jokes? What do you call them?
Well,
Yes. Hilarious, funny jokes that Michele does. It's the joke of the week every week that Michele does. Funny jokes, right?
Mhm.
That's what we call it.
I just know I laugh forever and ever. I just didn't remember what it was called.
I call it painful, but now she switched it up and she's using children against me, Sarah. She's using the children that she does the comedy club with, and now she's reading their jokes. And so I can't criticize the jokes at all. And she's
No.
literally like, this joke is from little Tommy. What am I going to go? Tommy, you're not funny. So now used to I'd just be like boo and we move on, but now I have to encourage it, and she's encouraging that behavior in small children. Okay, so Sarah, Laugh Support Podcast. Let's get into it. So you, first of all, Michele and I had the opportunity to see you get up at an open mic, not just any open mic, at an open mic that most comics don't want to get up at because it's all comedians in the room, which is generally the hardest place to be. But just not long ago, we saw you get up, do an open mic for the very first time, which was pretty amazing. And the next thing we know, Sarah is adding comedian to the list of many things that you are great at. So let's talk about that. When did that happen? And how has that changed since you got up at that mic?
Well, first of all, just thanks for having me on. I'm reading through the questions and listening to your guys' podcast. And I'm like, I do not qualify. This is crazy. I love talking with y'all. You're amazing. But I'm like, oh my goodness. So yeah, the open mic was really just to harass my husband publicly. It was a great opportunity. No, I visited the CCA, the Christian Comedy Association conference with my husband about 8 years ago for the first time, and just found this amazing community of very talented, very funny people. I was really new to the whole world of comedy. I lived a very sheltered life as a homeschool child and dove straight into motherhood and everything. And so I really didn't have any exposure to it until I met my husband. And so I tagged along with him, and I really, honestly, that very first time felt comfortable. One of the first people that I met was actually Bohm Hampton. When I walked into the door, and he did end up hitting on me and asking me for my phone number before he found out that I was there with Bob, which is a really,
Yes.
really funny story. And I played along just to, again, harass my husband a little bit. But since that moment, I kind of just made my way, just making friends. Everyone was so sweet, and even though I was just a spouse, I wasn't really in the world that you guys are in. Just kept in touch and really just fangirled over all of you guys, just following you on social media and going to shows anytime anyone's near. I'm like, hey Bob, let's go, see whoever's close to us. So I've just been a really big fan. And I guess that was 2 CCAs ago that I got up on stage. I don't really know what came over me. I think I get osmosis. I get writer creativity, just being around all of you guys. And my husband, as we said, is a comedian, and so he's writing all the time. Like, his brain never stops. It's a super huge blessing. But he's taught me to like put things in my phone as I think of them, just ideas and different premises and stories and things that happen. And so I've kind of just done that for really 5 or 6 years. And so when I had the opportunity, I was like, you know what, this is the crowd. Even though it would be intimidating, I just felt like it was a room full of friends. I didn't really have anything to lose. I'm not a comedian. And so I just thought I'll just get up there and kind of razz a little bit. A lot of inside jokes about him. And he definitely has a presence and a reputation that's a stinker. So it was fun. It was really, really fun. But I didn't have any intentions of ever doing it again. It was a one-time really fun thing. And I went back to doing teaching and therapy. So it wasn't a dream until recently. So I had a friend, I don't know if we want to segue into it, but I had a friend ask me at church a couple of weeks ago if I had always wanted to be a comedian or always wanted to be on the road or whatever. And I said, no, it's not. It's not a new dream. It's a new obedience. So I kind of felt called to tell my story. I've had a pretty rough life. Some of that for my own choices, and some of that just what God's allowed. And so it just always felt like redemptive, maybe, to share that with other people and in a personal way, like one-on-one, small groups, that kind of thing. But I've always felt this, I would say the last 2 or 3 years, just felt a really strong nudge to somehow do that in a more public, which to me is a way more vulnerable way. And I just followed open doors, and here I am on y'all's podcast. So
that's so wild. Well, one, I think that I will have to say this, and not to like, definitely this is not a pat on my back. But the CCA, the group it's been the planning committee or whatever, I know that they, as far as the open mic is concerned, they were trying to revamp and make it that space where everybody felt safe in that room full of comedians, that you could just get up and be playful and have fun. And for the folks, especially that had never stood up at an open mic before, for it to be a welcoming place and be a positive experience. And it sounds like that happened for you. That was the first place I ever stood up and did an open mic. Was at CCA, which is how Michele and I met and became friends, is because she saw me freaking out at the hotel the night before, because I had come to CCA in 2017 with no joke, no friends, nobody, tried to hide in the back of the room. And I was challenged by Danny Successful Simmons, who I got to see this year for the first time since 2018. And I was challenged by him to come back the next year and do the open mic. And because I was cracking him up at the table and just talking, he was like, wow, how long have you been doing comedy? And I was like, an hour and 15 minutes. Like, that's how long it took me to get here. I don't do comedy. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. But I love that you said it wasn't a new dream. That's how it was for me. It wasn't a dream for me. It was an obedience. It was the Holy Spirit saying, this is the avenue that you're going to go. and I was definitely scared to death. So I so relate to that part of your story. And then also getting to hear your testimony before, we don't know people. We really don't, especially like going to church and things like that. I remember my pastor's wife saying, you can sit in a pew beside somebody for 15 years and know nothing about them. But if you spend 15 minutes at, having a cup of coffee with them, you can learn their life story. And, these stories that you have to tell, they're so powerful, and God can use those. But it's also, my story is not the same as yours, but really difficult place that I came from, but it's digestible with comedy. And it also allows people to know they're not alone, that they're seen, that it is an illusion, that we've all come from this perfect place and our lives are perfectly put together and we've never been through anything. And I think that connections are, God wants us to connect with each other to make that connection with him.
Right.
And there's such a big purpose in that. But Michele, you were there, right? You were in the room.
Oh my,
Were
yes.
you in the room? Did
I was in the room, and I have to say, Sarah, you knocked it out of the park. It sounded as if you were doing comedy forever. And I was shocked that was your first time, because it was so good. I was like, man, I wish I could just have this much of your talent. Like, that's what I was thinking, because it was well written and you performed it well. Like, it was just, it had all the bells and whistles, and you made fun of Bob at the same time. Like, it was all of it. Just, it was brilliantly done. And I do know that if you would have done that even at the before we started doing the retreats, if you would have done it, it was still would have killed, because it was that good.
Oh, that's so sweet. So sweet.
You're welcome. But it was really good.
Yeah. So you do this and you're like, well, that's it. That was a fun thing. I was brave. You get the adrenaline rush. You go up. It was well received. I know your husband was dying laughing. Like, I know, like I always watch everything that's going on in the room. And I remember seeing him just like, it was like just this proud husband moment of like, you went up and you just rocked everybody's face off for your first time ever in front of an open mic. You had a room that was like ready, to see, wow, what's Sarah going to do? And I will say this about you and Bob, and we've talked about this before on the podcast, of like your willingness to serve other people. And one of the things that you guys have done the last few years is be a part of the newcomers room. And that's not just people that's like new to comedy for the very first time, but it's people who've come to the CCA for the first time, who may have been doing comedy 25 years, but they don't have a friend in the space. And so you guys, you already like make that connection with people, and they feel seen by you the moment that they come in. And so I know that was probably more of a gift that you realized that you were giving to the folks in that room too, and especially the newcomers, because you went in and you welcomed them, but then they got to see you be brave and do the thing that some of those newcomers were doing as well.
Yeah,
that's
for
the very first time.
Yeah. I think it's just a testament kind of to what you said already, June, about just the welcoming place that CCA is. It really is a platform for connection, like nothing I've experienced before. Everybody's very encouraging and positive, and that so much so that someone of my delusion could get up in front of professionals and attempt something that you all do so well. So I think it's such a neat space. I love relationship. I'm a people person. Being in that newcomers room is just the best, because like you said, it's all ages and talent levels and stuff. And of course, with being in there with the Brights, they're real fun and outgoing, and it's just a chance for us to be that welcoming face right away. So it was just neat to be trusted with that. It's just a neat thing to be included. Really, I just was honored to be included. It wasn't like a Bob Smiley thing. It was always a Bob and Sarah thing. And I just, it just lit me up. I love that I got to be a part of it, get to be a part of it every year. It's something I look forward to. It's already on our calendar. I mean, before we leave the CCA, it's on the calendar for the next year. So we love being a part of it.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't. It's a thing. I think Michelle and I both we like. It's just not an option of not going. Like
Right.
something big has to happen for us not to want to be there. So yeah. So you do this open mic. There it is. Been there, done that. That was a fun thing. And then all of a sudden, this is becoming a whole. It's starting to have a life of its own. So tell us, like after the open mic, when did it kind of transition into you speaking, doing, a full stand-up show? What was that? When was the first time you actually did a stand-up show and ended up on stage somewhere as I'm Sarah the comedian?
Well, I have to remember way back to May of this year.
That's so wild.
Yeah, so in May, I really, it's just such a whirlwind. So I have like 3 months under my belt. In May of this year, I was invited to go with the Epic Ladies and share on their tour in Hawaii. I mean, how do you say no to that? And it just kind of happened. I prayed about it, but also Leslie Robinson, I want to say kind of spiritually hazed me. I was very unsure. She can be very convincing. I was very unsure of just the timing of it and being that vulnerable in front of people.
Mhm.
And she said, yeah, I'll let you pray about it, of course. And then every day for a week, she texted, like, do you have an answer? Have you heard from God? Do we need to get on a 3-way? She was just very persistent until finally I was like, okay, just break it down for me exactly what I would need to be doing. Cause I'm also I like to prepare and
Mhm.
have everything planned out. And so she gave me some more details, and I just felt like I was in the throes of at the end of the school year. I'm in grad school, and it starts before the school year ends and goes through the summer. It was just the most chaotic time, and God said, "Do it, like do it, and just let me lead, let me do this. You're going to have to get out of your comfort zone a little bit." And so I said yes, really with no idea what I was gonna do. And so that's how it started. Sharing kind of my testimony with some humor there in Hawaii. And then we had such a blast as Leslie's career kind of took a turn with some opportunities that she was given to go into comedy clubs and do her teacher comedy tour. She invited me on that, and we did 5 clubs this summer. uh, for an audience of teachers, which are kind of my people.
Yeah.
She said that I could do 10 minutes and kind of MC the show. And I wrote this set. I mean, I just went to work, girls. I had my writer husband uh, making me stand up with a spatula in the living room and try it out. But I had written this set, and it was killer. And I was so excited to perform it for him. I wasn't letting him in on anything. And I will never forget, he had his timer because he's like, you need 10 minutes. You need a tight 10. I'm like, great. Okay, got this. So easy. And I got up there and I did my jokes. Of course, there's not like a response, so you can't calculate the timing of that. But I just felt like, Wonder Woman, like $100. Like, I don't know why y'all think this is so hard. And he stopped the timer, and it was like, I'm like, okay, did I go over? And he was like, 3 minutes and 30 seconds. I was literally shocked. I'm like sweating. I was so into it. And 3.5 minutes. And so, needless to say, there was some work. There was some work to do to be stage ready. I instantly just had this weight of respect for every single one of you guys. I'm like, I cannot do this. There was a lot of self-doubt, a lot of texting Leslie, what in the world? And she's like, nope, you can do this. You've got it. I don't care if you get up there and tell a joke and vomit and run off stage. Like, you got it. You got to get it. You just got to get out there. So that's kind of how it started. And pretty much that's how my first set in Sacramento went. It was very like bye. Where's Leslie? It was so hilarious. We have footage. It has since been destroyed. It will never surface.
Did you really destroy it or did you keep it?
I never received it. I was like, don't you dare send that to me because Bob will get it and this will be on some sort of blooper reel. People laugh, but I think I just stepped on everything to get off stage. I was just like, I know that was funny. And the next thing, here it is.
Yes.
It was I call it comedy boot camp summer. The difference in church and comedy club is just night and day. Even though it was her fans, there was a lot of teachers. So we had a pretty welcoming, typical audience. It seemed to be the girls with the husbands or the friends that weren't teachers sat right up front and just, just
yes,
staring at you. And after the first show, I was like, okay, I'm going to find the meanest mug in the room. And that's who I'm going to try to make laugh. And so it just became a challenge. And of course, traveling with your best friend, your comedy best friend is like a dream come true. So we had a blast and I learned a lot, but I don't know. It's just been crazy. I really respect you guys. I will say that for sure.
I started to say, so really your laugh support right out of the gate is your husband, Bob, who, and how long has he been doing comedy?
He doesn't want anybody to be able to do the math, but let's say well over 20 years.
I was gonna, do you remember Adam and Eve? About that long.
Yeah, he was on stage in the Garden of Eden.
Okay, that makes sense. And like a lot of people who, when they start out in comedy, they start searching for a mentor. They start searching for someone who knows anything about the industry to tell them something. And you literally live with someone that's been his life for 20 years, which I'm sure could be a blessing and a curse, because it's like you do have someone that you can bring stuff to and he can tell you, yeah, that is funny, or the whole standing up. Yeah, I mean, I have a ladle. And that's what I practice. I have this little tiny, I don't even know where it came from. It's not even a real ladle. It's like you could maybe get a teaspoon of something in this tiny little ladle, and that became my mic, and that's my like safety blanket when I practice. Like I get that he was like, you have to hold something and pretend you're in front of people and do the thing. But I was also going to say, so you got Bob as your laugh support. And I was going to say a very sweet thing about Leslie and how wonderful she is with the laugh support. But Sarah, is she your laugh support or was she your laugh bully? Was she a bully?
I mean, it depended on the moment. It really depended on the moment. She definitely gave me an opportunity to be obedient and step through that door. We are very, very different. So I'm very like calculated and planned and organized and ironed my stage outfit. And she's like, I don't know what we're doing, where we're going, and pulling her dress out, an hour before the show. And I'm like, please let me steam that. Please just let me.
Yes.
So we're very opposite in a lot of ways. She is a hard worker. And so
yes,
that similarity with what I have experienced with Bob, a lot of really successful comedians, you don't see the behind the scenes. And I know everybody does things differently, but I've watched Bob mentor a lot of young comedians over the years. He really attaches to the young guys from a spiritual mentor standpoint and just from a comedy standpoint. He still meets with several of them monthly. And so I knew that support was going to be important, and who I align myself with was going to be really important. It's just such a dream, but also I don't want to say nightmare, but it's just like when you feel like called to do something, but it's not laid out for you, and then you step through. I mean, that still every time I get just this nauseous, what am I doing, imposter syndrome, just wave every single time I'm about to do something. And I think it's just God like keeping me reliant on him. Like, this is not about you, girl. Like, just get up there and make people laugh. I also want to say, back to the CCA. I mean, this is not a commercial, but because of having those relationships, those non-comedy, just like friendships with ladies, I was able to text people like Kay Dodd and get on phone calls with her when I was writing. And Christy Condor helped me a bunch after our very first set. She was in there in Hawaii. And I think that's one of the things that I see with a lot of maybe newer comedians, not necessarily young, but newer, or they've been in it a while and they're just trudging through, is that they're not really open to feedback. They're kind of, it's like an ego thing a little bit. Like, I kind of got this set and I think it's good. And they kind of ask, but they don't really, it's their baby. And I totally get that now because it's like them, but you have to be willing to listen, and you can toss it aside and be like, that's not my voice, or that's not a word I would use, or that's not how I would do it. But I think being open to feedback has been really helpful for me. Because I'm willing to tweak things, and I'm willing to admit that I don't know what I'm doing, but also just being confident. Like, a lot of stage presence is like, I deserve to be here. I'm here. Look at me, listen to what I have to say. You have to come out there and believe in yourself, or people pick up on that too. So I did two things I didn't want to do. I didn't want to ride the coattails of my husband. I was very adamant about that with Leslie, and she was kind of praying with me secretly. I didn't know that she was planning to maybe, ask me to be on her tour, but she'd kind of been my spiritual mentor with all this, knowing that I had a calling to do it. But I was like, I really want to carve my own path. It would be super easy to just jump on stage with him. And he has a, great reputation and all these contacts. And I really didn't want to do that. I just thought, if it's what God wants me to do, I just think it needs to be my own thing. And then I guess the other thing is just not go after, I like social media for my friends and stuff, but I'm not that pick me girl. I'm not that put stuff up and see how many likes it has. And I know that's a little bit part of the business. And so I've had to figure out how to balance wanting to grow this career and keep a balance in my own personal life and my mental health. Cause I don't want to slip into that, like caring too much about everything that goes online. So that's another thing I've just kind of had to learn. Like, I'm just going to put out, I like to talk, as you can tell. And I really like to talk about what God's done in my life. And so that's kind of the avenue that I'm going. I'm going to put little videos when I have convicting moments or funny things that happen, and connect with people that way, and just see what God does. I'm just excited to kind of see where it goes.
There's so much like meat in that last segment. I love that, like, you have had these women that you can reach out to. I totally relate to the love-hate of the comedy. When you mentioned Kay Dodd, I remember her saying this, and I remember feeling this when I drove home one day, of like, because I do struggle with the stage fright and the fear and the insecurities and all that. Like, I fail on a stage 100 times before I get to that stage. In my brain, I'm not the person who's like, and I get that with Leslie. Like, one, it's so cool to be able to start comedy career with someone as talented as her, such a hard worker as her, but also not someone who puts unnecessary stress on a new comedian. She really is. There's not a show that I've done with her that I've had to feel like, I told her the epic show that we did in Virginia, I said, I love that when I do shows with her, I really do feel like I get to just go out and just be me. And I kind of get out of my head, because it's not that pressure of like, if I mess up, I'm going to lose a friend, or I'm never going to get to work again, or I'm not, it's none of that. It's just, this person asked me to come because they know me and what I do, and they trust me, and I'm going to go and I'm going to do the show. But I remember driving home one day and thinking, man, my life was so much easier when I worked in the school system. And I got up in the morning, and that's a hard job. That says a lot. When your life is easier working in the school system than being a comedian, that says a lot, because the school system is, all three of us have worked in it. It is not easy. But it was like, I knew where I was going, what I was doing, what I was facing every day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And I tell people in comedy, it feels like you have your first day of work on the job, every job, because you're in a new space, in a new place, trying to feel out that room, trying to feel out who's really in charge here. Where's the bathroom? Where's the snacks? Like, you're in this new place, in this new space. but I remember, literally physically remember what the lane I was driving on, the color of the leaves changing on the trees, and talking to God and going, this is really hard. This is painful. This is, I know I'm making it that. He's not. It's me that makes it so painful. But thinking it would be so much easier to just go, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm gonna work 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. I'm gonna have my weekends off, and that's what I'm gonna do, you know. But I remember Kay saying this, and I felt this: the pain and the fear and everything I would go through to be obedient to God was worth it, because I knew it was going to be more painful to disobey God. The idea of not doing what my Father asked me to do, not using the gift that he gave me in the way that he chose for me to use that, was going to be more painful than walking away. So I'm like, I'm never going to be able to walk away from this until he says, this is not for you anymore. I have a different plan. Then I'm going to have to learn to trust him and continue on this path, because it's more painful to think about not doing what he called you to do than doing. Now, Michele, like, as long as I've known you, you've seemed to be like, you're just the confident, bubbly, you're the friend, you're the supportive, you're all of that. It felt like when I met you, like comedy doesn't scare you. You're not that worried about it. It's all fun and games. But is that true about you, or is this the same for you? I mean, I see you laughing, but is it the same for you? As Sarah said, you know, it's a love-hate relationship. It is painful. Is it that for you as well?
Very much so. I think if you ever get over the butterflies or the nerves or things like that, then you're not going to still like put as much of you into what you're doing. And so, no, I've quit 1,000 times since the first time I started. Like 1,001 times I've quit. And then like every time I'm like, okay, God, I'm done. Thank you. That was fun. You know, one and done. I'm good now. And then a church would call. I'm like, oh, you know, or then I'm like, okay, now I'm done. Now I'm done.
Yes.
I did it.
Everyone
Now
know
I'm
that show.
yeah. And I finally had like a what is it? A paradigm shift this past year, or previously last summer, when Lauren Lucille talked about how she was taking a break. Like she has her summer break. She doesn't do any work. She's focused on her kids. I thought, oh, scheduling a vacation. That's so much smarter. So I did that last year. I'm like, I'm not taking anything. And it just changed everything. I'm like, oh, okay. Now you get to actually relax versus, okay, I'm done. Wait, the phone rang. Oh, it was like, no, I'm sorry. I'm actually not booking anything until. And so like that was really helpful. No, I've quit comedy so many times, and going up on stage, like every time at the CCA, I have always bombed. Always. So Sarah, when you're the first time up, you like crushed it. I was like, how do people do that? Like I bomb every time.
Naivety.
Like even at this last one, I was like, yeah, I'll go ahead and do a little bit. And I was about to do another thing, right? And then I heard somebody say something, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I won't do that. I'll come over here. And I was like, I can't believe I just gave in to the voice in the crowd versus what I knew I would have been funnier. Like, you know what I mean? So I just kind of abandoned it and just went with this. And I was like, so then that just plays in your head while you're on stage still. You're like, but no, I don't know what the question was,
Well,
June.
I think if you felt like you bombed every CCA, then whatever that was, because I didn't see any of those, but whatever you did this year was not a bomb. You came out like they shot you out of a cannon. Like you just popped up there, and you had a great open mic set. And that was a hard room. It wasn't the packed room that it was the night before. It was a little bit more difficult room, and you had such a good open mic set. I talk about being brave.
Thank you.
Ask me, other than 2018, the first time I ever went on and did the open mic, I've only done 2 things at the CCA, because I had convinced myself that's the last place I want to get up on the stage. One, and then hosting it, I feel like people see me all day and they hear my voice all the time. And I'm like, they don't need me another time. Like, I feel like people are probably sick of my face by the end of the, okay,
No,
that's
we
just
love you.
Michelle saying, June, we're sick of your face.
We love you, Joan. So
No.
anyway, yeah. Okay.
So I get
what do y'all see like as far as being female comedians? Because I'm new to this,
Mm.
right? And what I'm seeing is that the road is a little rougher from my
Mhm.
experience, and as welcoming as, I mean, again, back to the CCA and the girls in that, I wouldn't have the opportunities that I have had if it wasn't for other women. So I feel like we are very nurturing and helping each other. But there's some, especially in the secular world, it's so competitive and so
Mhm.
like beat each other down, and I'm doing this and they're doing that, and you have to make it look, like you're all booked and everything. But the men just like blow up and take 20 of them with them,
Yes.
and like I just don't, what is y'all's experience and how do you kind of, cope with that, or, how have you dealt with that over the years?
Mm. Go ahead, Michelle.
The interview is just turned.
Mm.
We were interviewing her, and you notice how she just turned that
The
right
turns
back
and
around to
tables.
us. Wow. Okay, Sarah, if you're looking for advice on the future, go ahead and share this stage with your husband. Go ahead. It's fine. Totally do it. But I've noticed that since the whole pandemic world shut down, I've seen even more in the secular clubs now that women are being more supportive. I've seen that. Whereas, in the CCA, we've always been, supportive, and it's never really been I, at least from my perspective, it's never been, cutthroat, like you can't do anything what I'm doing because this is my
Mhm.
crap. Like it's always been kind of I'll help lift you up kind of a thing. But since COVID, it seems like people are realizing, wow, life is short. I need to have people and support around me, because of all that isolation and how, we were not oh, what was that term that they labeled people that we don't
Essential,
need you?
not essential.
Yeah, non-essential.
Yeah.
But now people are like, "Oh, actually, we do need more laughter. We do need more comedy." Like now they're like, "Maybe you are essential." I've seen that there's been more people supportive that way. Um, but yeah, it's always been a man's world.
Mhm.
I was watching the history of comedy. There's like a series on HBO or something. And now some of the language like that threw me for a loop, and it was very explicit. It was very interesting. But the history, they highlighted different women through some of the stuff, and I was like, I didn't even know that person was a comedian. I never heard that person's name before. So it was like everything's constantly changing and growing and evolving, and I think that there's more opportunity for women to clean women, to have more cleaner sets. I mean, look at Leanne Morgan right now. She
Yeah.
just sold
Mhm.
out two huge shows, what, in Indiana somewhere, at the big stadium out there with Andrew Stanley. Uh, so I see more potential coming, in our
Mhm.
future, that there'll be more bigger environments. Leslie Robb is a huge example of what she's drawing, all the people that are following her. The Unknown Tour, like I see more women are going towards things, but it has always been disappointing to see, like, if it's a girls' night out and then they have a male comic, you're like, what? Why
Yeah,
don't
and if you notice with Lauren Lucille and Leslie Robb, they're creating their own thing.
Yes.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like they're not tagging on to some man's show. Like they're like, you know what? I'll rent my own theater. I'll create my own brand. It's so inspiring to me because I think what I see is like we work harder, but the payoff is maybe not quicker, but big too. And I think as women, since we're naturally relational, my heart is like speaking in my testimony, and if I can encourage people and women on a path that, hey, I'm just like you in certain ways, and
Mhm.
God is still big and he can redeem anything.
Yeah.
But what I'm learning is injecting humor into that, like we mentioned in the beginning, just lowers the walls. And I've seen women do it beautifully in the CCA. I was in the back of the car with Kay after our show a couple weekends ago, and she had asked me on Friday when we picked her up from the airport, so you want to be a comedian and you want to meet and write and stuff? And I was like, no. I don't want to be a comedian. I just want to talk about Jesus. And she's like, okay, all right. So I'll just simmer. And then by the end of her show, we were in the back of the car again, and I was like, can I amend my answer? Because I had seen her get on stage and make people laugh and be authentic. And I was like, I want to do that. That's what I want to do, because I think that comedy is such a gateway. Laughter is such a gateway to people's hearts. That's how God designed it, right? And being able to do that in a truthful, authentic way that's funny is just a gold mine. So I'm very good at like telling my story, letting it all hang out, being real, but just being able to inject some humor in there, like planned, where it's a little more written and things like that is like my aspiration now. So after a weekend with K Dodd, I'm still figuring out who I am and what I want to do, what God wants to do with me. And I think if I just stay pliable to that and not really say no unless it's, something that goes against my beliefs, but like just being willing to do whatever. If you had told homeschooled 8-year-old Sarah that she was going to be in a comedy club, telling jokes one day, I would have died.
Yeah.
My mom probably would have disowned me. So you just
He would have prayed that off of you.
you just can't discount the avenue and the path that God takes you on. And it's just such a stretch for me that I know it's God. Like Sarah did not come up with this. I did not come up with this. This is not how I would do it. It would have been neat and tidy and pretty. And so it's just fun. It's fun and exciting, right? And I'm so grateful for y'all being so supportive and reaching out to me. And it's just, I think God's economy is different than the world's economy. And that's one of the things that Kay kind of impressed on me too, is that if you're here for one woman, which every single interaction, even those club shows, they came up to me and I had at least 1 or 2 conversations, like real conversations. Like, I can't believe you're doing this. You're a teacher and you just decided. I'm like, yeah, I'm an old lady that decided to do something different. Like just inspirational type conversations. If you're there for one person, like that's worth it. You've impacted somebody in a positive way. That's what I'm addicted to, not the lights or the likes or the microphone. It's like that connection with somebody that you would never, ever connect to. That's what I'm going to get addicted to for sure.
I say I'm a lobby comic. Like I'm the lobby comic, man. I want to have a good set, not so that I am seen, but I want people to feel seen so that in the lobby I can have deeper or more real conversations or just be eye to eye and one-on-one with somebody for a moment. And I love that, the part of like getting to meet people and have people want to come up and tell me the crazy thing their dad did, or when I do the 23andMe bit about, getting a sister randomly. There are other people who their family's going through that right now, that they find out that a parent was, unfaithful, and there's a sibling and, all of that stuff. And they want to come up and tell me about it, because you can't talk to everybody about that.
Right.
I stand on stage, talk about it. Sometimes in church events, they tighten up a little bit, and I'm like, but that's okay. And I'll tell them, I'm like, oh, we're all family. I can talk about this, right? And loosen them up about it. But yeah, I totally get that. I'm the lobby comic. Now, when it comes to the boy and girl thing, to that question, I just say boys drool and girls rule is what I say. And so, no, I think that that conversation has had a lot. And I think there's so many different layers to it. I think that sometimes you do have the guy comics who are just like, girls aren't funny, and they bring their dudes, along. Or for me, if it's a club aspect, the girls who are getting the club work are the ones that are dirty and that will go places that I'm not going to go. And if that's what gets me work, I don't want to be there. Now, I live outside of Nashville, Tennessee, where the king of all clean comedy, the most famous cat on the planet, selling out 3 shows in a row at Bridgestone Arena now, Nate Bargatze, where he's at, that's made clean everything, right? And there's guys that I've met and been friends with through the CCA that have put me, given me opportunities on stage at Zanies because I do work clean. And that is the lane that they're in. So sometimes it works against me because clubs in general, how do you get that name and grow and go when you do have to be so excellent at your craft that you're undeniable? You can't be weak or have a bad day because that's the expectation. It's like, oh, she's clean, she's not going to be funny. So you already are kind of working against that. But I also know that like in the Christian world, it can be a financial thing and a family and faith thing. I remember Shonda telling me, whoever it was she wanted, because I didn't grow up in that world, so I don't remember all like the important names of the Christian people back in the day. But whoever it was that was touring first, the male clean comedy guy who had a tour bus and all of this stuff, they wanted to bring her along, but they were on a tour bus. So she ended up, I think she said, in a van behind him. And like he was like, I want you to come, but you're not going to be on the bus with us. You're not going to be, because it was a woman and these were men, right? So, Christy and I can do shows together. Michele and I can do shows together and get one hotel room. We're going to a place. There's no danger to that. Like we're going to go, we're going to do the show. It's cheaper, and then also it's like, I can't fault the guys for bringing their friends along, the ones that they've been writing with. And it really, should they be spending a lot of one-on-one time with a female comic? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's so many different elements to it. Sometimes I do get frustrated. I am the same where I'm like, I don't really see very often that a guy's night out at a church invites a girl to headline. That's not happening, but you see it all the time. But then also I think, number wise, logistically, there are more guys. And then also the dedication that they can put into it is they can do that sooner, I think, than us. But Lauren is a great example though of like, she's figured out that balance. And as you said, there are women who are creating their own lanes. They're like, I'm not waiting for them to come to me. I'm just going to do my own thing. And she can protect her family by booking the shows, the flights, planning her show schedules around these times. But I remember talking to Marty Simpson one time and I'm like, he throws his stuff in a bag. It's, same tennis shoes, same ball cap, same, whatever it's super simple. He goes away, he comes home, there's groceries, the kids have been taken to practice, all of those things.
Yeah.
Where as women, it's harder for us to just be at an open mic every night, where they're like stage time. And I'm like, I'm caring for an elderly dad. I had kids in school when I started this thing,
Yeah.
So I think it's such a layered dynamic that when I catch myself going to the guys, they just make me so mad. Then I have to have that attitude of, as Rhonda Corey says, what God has for you, he has for you. And what he has for me, he has for me. And our paths it's going to look different and try to just assume that it's this guy's financially protecting himself, protecting his marriage. And maybe that's why they're not inviting me to be a part of whatever thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
And so we love to be with our friends. You know what I mean? We love to, I would rather have my girlfriends going and doing shows with me, but there are guys, I have to say this, the first people who gave me opportunities in comedy were not the women. It was not any women in comedy. Marty Simpson gave me shows. Robert G. Lee gave me shows. Lee Hardin gave me shows. Bo Hampton, was mentoring me. Like I didn't have that connection yet. But as Michele said, I think.
Are you dittoing Michele?
I offered you a spot and you said no.
Yeah, I didn't have any jokes. I was just like, hey, I see you're doing this show. I'm going to try and do the open mic this year. I would love to just
Yes.
come and like see these comedians do, because I'm like you, Sarah, I'm a planner. I want to see it. I want to
Yeah.
figure out what's going on and, and ease my way into it with as much information as possible. Michelle, I didn't even know her. I just messaged and said I was going to come to the show in Bardstown because it was in Kentucky, and excited to whatever. And she was like, "Yeah, we'll be on the show, do some time." And I was like, "No, I've never done any time anywhere. This is not the place I'm going to do that."
You didn't have a tight 3.5 minutes?
She put me on the flyer. I was on their flyer, and to me,
Okay, that's hilarious because that was one of my first jokes. I was like, when I agreed to do this, I told Leslie, don't put my name or my picture on anything. And then I show a flyer and it's like Leslie's beautiful face and I'm like tiny. Of course I made it up, but I was like, and then she showed me this and I was kind of mad. Like, you could have made my picture bigger. Those are my first. So you do have that, like, I don't want publicity. And then when did you get like that? Okay, I want to do this and like say yes to everything.
Oh gosh, that was
After she turned me down.
Yes, it was after I turned Michelle down and I found out I was a ghost on the show, that I literally was listed on the show, and I was at the show watching the show, that I was listed as being on the show. And I just sat and talked to her aunt the whole time. Like, I was just like, this is so cool,
That's hilarious.
I really, honestly though, I think that show, she had, was it your aunt that had cancer, Michelle? And she was at home and somebody was sitting with her.
Yeah.
And they had this chair, this comfortable chair that the aunt sat in at church when she was healthy enough to come in and out. And she was going through cancer treatments. And there was this chair, the beautiful chair sitting in the front of the church for this woman. And everybody was like, oh, maybe she's going to get to come, whatever. And she couldn't. So someone came and sat with her. And her husband was sitting there beside me, plus one of Michelle's aunts. And I watched, John Branyan was on that show. Michelle, Lisa.
John wasn't on the show.
Oh, he just came and watched.
He showed up to watch, and I didn't see him till afterwards. And I was like, oh my gosh, I should have asked you to be on the show. He's like, I don't have to be on every show. I was like, oh, okay. Because it was like, I'm like, I can't believe
he was there. Yeah. So I met him. There was Al. What's his name from Lexington?
You mean from Pennsylvania, Al Smith?
No, Al Smith was there, but Sean Reynolds from Lexington.
Angie.
So it was all these, really talented comedians, super funny people. But when I knew, like, this is, oh wow, I get it, God, I see what you're doing. Michelle comes up, her like aunt or somebody curled her hair, and it was like very girly, fluffy hair, and she was making jokes about like, this is not me, this is not right. She connected with the room. I watched her family get to watch her, and they were just so enjoying seeing her, and all this laughter and stuff was going on. But someone came and sat with the aunt so that her husband could be front row of that show. And I watch people, as I said, I watched Bob when you were on stage the first time. I was watching you when I was watching his reaction. Like, it's part of the ADHD where I've got to see everything that's going on in the room. But I remember watching him just laughing. And Sean Reynolds did the bathroom bit or whatever. And her uncle was just tore up laughing. And there was this empty chair. And I was thinking, like, right now, everything in his life is wrapped around this empty chair, this woman that, he's going through so much with. And it sounded like this has been going on for a while, and the whole family was kind of heavy. And the fact that he got to come, and I thought for a moment, out of all that chaos, for a moment, I saw this guy truly just drop his shoulders, relax, and laugh for a minute. And I'm like, and I saw these people using their gift for this. And I saw them connecting with each other and laughing and going. And I think we went to Dairy Queen afterwards or something. And I'm like, dude, I get it. Yeah. I get how real this is. I get the gift that just was to that room. Yeah. And I know, and I am a storyteller, and I love people's stories. And I understand that we're not going to know everybody's story in the room, but sometimes we do get to know. And I really got to see like how he works in that. My first club show, I had family members come, one who had been on his deathbed a and miraculously was healthy enough to be able to come. Another who had a child who had just got out of a facility for, I think, the second attempt of suicide, right? These were my family members that were sitting front row. And one of them was like, well, we'll come watch you and then we're leaving, and that's it. And it was like, don't do that. They'll never book me at the club again if 10 people just get up and walk out like I'm in trouble. And at the end of the show, they had so much fun. And they were, they felt special because they feel like I'm special. I'm special because I'm up there doing this thing. I know I'm not special in compared to anyone else on the planet. God sees us all the same. But how powerful, how he can use that. And where you are in your journey right now, know that you probably won't even know the people that you're inspiring. I ran into somebody not long ago and she got emotional, got teary-eyed talking about watching me. And she was like, I'm just so in awe of what God's done with your yes. And he gets to watch that through us in these moments, Yeah. And I think that's amazing. But okay, so one of the questions we ask, and if you're so new to like May, we're recording this at the end of July, probably come out in September. And it has been that trial by fire, just throw her in and let's roll. But have you had some moments that you felt kind of alone in this? Like, I remember my sister-in-law coming to see me at Zany's. She had never seen me do comedy before. And afterwards, she was like, I'm so proud of you. And she's crying. And she was like, when I saw you stand up there, I thought that has to be the loneliest place in the world. I thought, oh no, that's Judy. And she's just up there by herself. And all of these people are here. Like, have you had any moments, Sarah, where you felt just alone and not have laugh support in the journey?
Well, I think because touring with the Epic ladies and with Leslie and being so close to her, it's like a high. You're together and we're downloading at night and we're talking about how jokes hit. We're talking about personal things, our spiritual walk. We both love to talk. So it's like this huge connection and this high. And then I come back home and you're in a hotel. Let's be honest, that's super nice as a wife and a mother.
Yes.
Your bed's made, it's quiet, you go to bed when you want. Like, it's so nice. And then you come back home and it's like, okay, the dishes need to be washed, the kids need to be dropped off, the husband needs, to be put to bed. And so there's just all these demands that are so opposite. And I think that's when I felt a little bit lonely. Like, after it's kind of all over with, I've had to work really hard to like stay connected to those ladies and just kind of touch base. And especially, like I've mentioned, Leslie and I are closer, but I got to know Rhonda Corey on this last run. I've met her quite a few times at CCA, but like, just when you do a show and you stay a weekend with somebody at a hotel, eat meals and things like that, just get to know each other. And I think just compare, like, just to see these women that are so much farther down the journey than me and that they're still struggling with things that I'm struggling with, as far as the imposter syndrome and just personal lives and balancing. Like, I have to go up and be funny and I'm struggling with this, when I go home. Like, being on the road is easier in so many ways. And then you have to go back to like your reality and whatever struggles that are there. So I think that's probably maybe not a loneliness, but just kind of a disconnectedness with, how do I balance this passion and this high and this fulfillment that I get from doing this, and then go back to, normal life. I've definitely felt that pretty strongly. I have wanderlust. I love traveling. I love airplanes. I love now the challenge of trying to carry on. Rhonda and I are very similar packers. And so we were rejoicing with each other this last trip that we both carried on and how awesome we were. We might have been wearing the same undergarments all weekend, but we carried on. Like, we did it. I think we both had 4 pairs of shoes and like 1 pair of panties,
Yes.
We forgot our toothbrush. It was a priority.
The essentials.
Our accessories were on point. So it's just, that's the struggle, like the back and forth. And I'm sure you guys know that really well. Just the travel and then the back home. things. But that's where you get your material too. So like you're doing life and you're going to the grocery store, you're going to work, you're parenting. I have one kid left at home, and speaking of laugh support, Mason is hilarious, and Bob has been definitely his bonus father. He's definitely stepped in that role. And so it's just funny to see how our lives are different. We didn't really get into that too much, but we're a blended family and we've been together for 8 years. And so my boys were raised pretty differently, single mom, and then his boys are raised chaotically by him. And so, but it's just fun to see how humor has changed our entire home. I think sometimes it can be a coping mechanism. So I come in and like, no, we're going to talk about this and we're going to get real. We're not going to make jokes. But it's been so neat to have a partner that is willing to inject humor into a situation and see the lighter side of things to balance out life. I think we just hold everything. Being a comedian is more fun to talk about. I've watched that with Bob. You know, when we meet new friends or go to church or whatever, they all want to talk about like what he does. You wouldn't ask that of me necessarily as a educational therapist or my friend that's an accountant. So there's more of an allure there, and that opens up conversations. But it's just another job. And if God takes it away, then I'm still Sarah and I still have purpose. And so I think just trying to hold that with an open hand, like I've seen Bob and so many people do well through COVID, is going to be a key moving forward. Just being open.
Sarah, it's been so amazing to get to have you on the show. We're definitely, as you continue on this journey and as we continue, I don't know, I think maybe season 127 will hang this thing up. But as we continue on this season, we would love to have you back again. You know, what would be interesting is I think, Michele, like we do some panels where we bring in like veteran comics or whatever. And we do like, what's the green room etiquette and like clothing or how to survive a bomb or, you know, those type of things. Because I mean, still like I just did a show with Jeff Allen recently. And I remember sitting at his table like about a year ago, and then him, you know, he had just did a show where he bombed. And I was like, I'm sorry, who are you? You did what? You know? And thinking that like these things don't happen however many years into the career. And it's really cool for us to get to talk to veteran comics, but it would be cool to have you on a panel, a future panel, because you may be the one that has questions for, you know, somebody who's been doing this 25 years after you've experienced more of this journey. So we would love to have you back on a future episode. Friends, Sarah is, I mean, she's doing the comedy thing. I have had the opportunity, Michele's had the opportunity to catch Sarah share her testimony. We on the Epic podcast that Leslie Robb has. Definitely check that out. Sarah did an episode where she shared her testimony there. It's super powerful. But you can find her on Instagram and Facebook at Sarah with an H, Smiley Speaks on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Sarah Smiley Speaks. So you can find her on there. I would definitely recommend if you're looking for a speaker or a comedian, you know, look Sarah up, follow her, watch her journey. It's so cool to get to see this, and I feel like God has a plan for what He's doing with you in comedy, and there's a reason why it jumped off as quick as it did. You know what I mean? Because He's not playing around. And I think there's sometimes where God tells us something and it's a seed and it needs time to grow and all of that stuff. And then sometimes God just says, go. And that shows such a powerful faith in Him and obedience. So we're going to be praying for you as you continue your comedy journey. Again, friends, follow Sarah at Sarah Smiley. Michele, any final comments for Michele before you kick her back to the green room with all the snacks?
No, because we'll be here for another 3 hours. So thank you for sharing today. And I am looking forward to having you back on one of our panels for sure. And then maybe even a future show where it's you and your husband, whatever that guy is.
I mean, we'll see.
Yeah. I did have a question real quick though. What, like, do you teach a certain grade or?
No, so I I several years ago made the switch to educational therapist. So I work one-on-one with students with learning differences such as dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, that kind of thing. So I'm a pullout here at a
Yeah.
private school in
Okay.
Houston, and yeah, so it's a dream come true too, which is so weird because I'm like, why am I doing this? And it's a balance, right? We women can do about 80 things, so I'm testing that.
I
Yes.
like it. I love that. I love that you're a pull-out teacher.
Mm-hmm.
God has pulled you out
Aw.
from your home, from where you feel comfortable, and has put you where you need to be.
Mm.
So I love that. I love that.
Good.
Okay,
Thanks,
then.
Michelle. Send me your shirt and your hat.
No, buy your own.
Michelle, if Michelle is
Send
attached
your
to it, it's Michelle's. But she is
Send me your
giving. She's
address.
always a giving person, though. I never know what I'm going to get, but I can tell you it's always. Look, this is that was the cup I'm drinking out of, Scooby Doo.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you,
cute.
Michelle.
That's
She's
cute.
a giving person, but she ain't gonna give it to you if she likes it. So, well, Sarah, Michelle's gonna scoot you to the back. If you want to hang out, feel happy to. If you got somewhere to go, we totally understand. And we're gonna close this episode out of the Laugh Support Podcast.
Oh,
Michelle.
you say, wait, what were you saying?
I just said thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
See, we just pulled her out from.
Michelle, stop doing that. Stop. Michelle, okay, for our listeners, Michelle just when you think you're in the back, you don't know. She could have like jumped up to go pee or something. Like we've been here for an hour and 15 minutes, or what if when you pulled her up, she was like, "Oh my gosh, Mom, you're right. They are crazy." Michelle, why do you have a glove on right now? Is this part of your final joke?
Oh, I don't have a joke today. Because I haven't really been feeling very well
Go ahead.
because I have a glove on.
I don't get it. What?
I don't feel well.
Oh, you can't feel because you have gloves on and your fingers are covered and that's probably the worst one that you've done. I can't even deal with it. I'm so ashamed of you. Let's go to the tip of the week and let's finish this thing out before something bad happens. June's tip of the week. What is it?
What is it?
Look again. Look again. My tip of the week. That's if you lose something and when you're working on comedy. So it's a twofold. This week, I lost my debit card.
Oh,
Debit card. Oh yeah. I paid for hot dogs medicine at the pharmacy, and then we got back to his house and things were chaotic and I was trying to fill his drug trace and I lost my debit card for days and days, but I kept watching the bank. So it wasn't used and I had looked everywhere and the worst thing happened. As wives and moms, the guys go look and you're like, it's on the second shelf. And it's not there. And you watch, it's right where you told them it was. Every single time. We're the lookers. We're the ones that win this game. Jason found my card in his truck where I had looked 19 times. So, just always one more time. Just look again. But also when it comes to comedy, same thing. I just found some jokes that I'd written in the past. And I've got a headlining gig coming up and I'm wanting to add a few new things to it. And so I say in comedy writing, go back, go look at like what maybe you wrote before and you didn't get very far with it and just give it a second look. Look at it again. You may see something or have a new perspective or a new experience that you've gone through that joke may now be something that you can use. So don't give up on it. Don't throw them away. Set them aside. Look at it again. All right. So that's my tip of the week this week. All right, Michelle, are we done with it? Can we be done? Or are you going to?
we're done. Oh, wait. Yeah, we're done.
You don't have another glove?
I do, but I'm not taking it out.
You're killing me.
I will say, keep your feelers on.
Okay.
Okay.
No. Listen. Okay. So Laugh Support Podcast, please follow us on all our social media platforms. Like us, follow us. You can email us at thelaughsup@gmail.com. If you have a guest that you're interested in us booking, or if you have questions that you would like for us to ask, send us that. Follow Michelle at Michelle's Comedy. It's Michelle with one L, Michelle's Comedy, and MichelleVanDusen.org. And you can find me at all things Junebug Comedy, just Junebug Comedy. That's where I'm at. All right. So that's going to be this, the way we end this episode of the Laugh Support Podcast. as I always tell you, Jesus and Junebug loves you. Michelle, are you going to tell them bye?
Goodbye. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.